Now, we've spoken at length in previous interviews about local government, the future of local government, the model of local government, and you and other mayors have indicated that it's not in the best health. The model does need to be looked at. How are talks on that going with central government and through local government, New Zealand and that?
Sadly, with the incoming new government, the progress that had been made in terms of the review of local government and some of the suggested changes, particularly around new funding mechanisms, have been shelved. Local Government New Zealand, as our advocacy body, continue to engage with central government to try to progress those conversations. But I think right at this point in time, I can't see anything changing anytime soon, unfortunately.
And that obviously disappoints you.
Oh, look, it absolutely does, because the reality is that local government is not going to be able to be sustainable in its current form. And we've got the Local Waters Done Well component, which will actually be taking a significant portion of our revenue away from local government. We've got central government talking about rates caps, which, based on what we've seen in Australia, we know leads to significant underinvestment in infrastructure and just not good outcomes for communities. We've got central government at the moment reducing some of the funding and levies that they currently send through to us. And we've got them pushing additional work onto us without any funding to support it. So, yeah, it's a pretty challenging space at the moment.
Is there more that you as a region, as a council, a region, and as a local government New Zealand do to sort of, I suppose, try and change the government's mind?
Unfortunately, because of the way our structure is here in New Zealand between central government and local government, we are very much the little brother or little sister, if that's one way to refer to it. We have very limited ability and power to influence the central government decision-making processes. We sit under a legislative statute, basically, so it's no different from greyhound racing New Zealand at the end of the day in terms of how we can engage with central government. We have no additional rights or powers other than that. So it does make it incredibly difficult.
Now, just in terms of models, it was suggested to me that one model is to maybe increase income tax and fund local governments through that. Would that be viable to you, you think?
That certainly isn't something that came through in the recommendations from the Future for Local Government. There were recommendations around local government receiving a portion of GST, goods and services tax, which I think is something that absolutely should be further investigated. There was also the recommendation around central government actually having to pay rates on land and currently. So it's really interesting because central government here in New Zealand receives 93% of the tax take and we receive 7% of the tax take. So I certainly think there is some room for movement there, and I'm hopeful that in the years to come that we can see some changes being made.
So would it be fair to say that you have found dealing with this new coalition government more challenging than the last government?
Absolutely.
And why is that so? Because they keep saying no to you on everything.
Basically a combination of saying no to everything and also pushing, as I said, additional things onto us, which increase our costs and also asking us to complete things in incredibly tight time frames. There doesn't seem to be any desire to work in partnership with us. It really has just felt like they just wanting us to do as we're told, basically.
And what are some of those things that they're pushing on to you? You mentioned something, but what are some of the concerns for you?
I guess, well, in terms of not so much what they're pushing on to us, but one of the things that they're looking at the moment is reducing the waste levies that we receive. So currently through a funding mechanism, we receive a portion of levies that are collected to use locally to encourage, better sort of waste management behaviours. And they're currently looking at reducing that significantly in terms of the share that we get. So it's just a combination of different things like that all add extra pressure on us when we're already under significant financial pressure.
Because as a local level with the MPs, you've got a good relationship with them, and with the other mayors in the region, you actually form quite a good team, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And, if I reflect on the 11 years that I've been on council and the progress with our regional relationships that has occurred in the last sort of 4 to 5 years, we've come an incredibly long way, and we're very committed to continuing to work together as a region, and part of that is also looking at ways that we can share services and find ways to work more efficiently and effectively for all of our communities. So I just see that continuing to go from strength to strength.